I think I'm disappointed about this, ladies and gentlemen, and why Pope Leo has alienated a lot of his faithful, it seems, at least from what I've seen on X. Again, X is not now always indicative of real life, obviously. But he has offered another jibe at Trump over the deportations, urges Catholics to embrace open borders under new missionary age. So apparently all of these people coming across that are eating the dogs and eating the cats and kidnapping the swans and raping the children, they're all our new Catholic missionaries, ladies and gentlemen. The MS-13 gang members with the tattoos on the knuckles and all of this stuff, right? The Satan-worshipping gangsters, Tren Aragua, all of this stuff. They're all part of the new missionary age. That's what they're part of. No, of course they're not. No, of course they're not. Sadly, it has been not only Pope Francis, but Pope Leo in particular, which has really alienated me from going back, because I've seen that, well, hang on, this goes directly against what one of his own cardinals said. Cardinal Sarro, I don't know if he's changed it too. Maybe he has. Maybe this is indicative of the church now changing its tune, and we just have to embrace all of the raped kids and all the rest of it. Apparently that's what Christ stands for now. Said that those who use the Gospels, right, or use Scripture to justify open borders and mass migration are bewitched. That's literally the term he used, bewitched. So again, I don't know what he's doing here. He continues to make thinly veiled jibes against Trump's administration on the stance against illegal immigration. Speaking in front of, notice how, as well, ladies and gentlemen, the Vatican has a big fucking wall around it. The Vatican has a big fucking wall around it and strict border controls. Heaven has the strictest border controls that we can ever fucking see and observe, right? Because it's under the domain of the Father Almighty, right? Who none of us are worthy to go into without being saved, right? But yet all of us plebs, all of us plebeians, we have to accept these barbarians into our society in order to be somewhat virtuous. How? I said that they can't accept the gospel in their own lands and make their lands great, like the Christian lands been made great in the US, in the UK, all of this other stuff, right? Why can't they make their lands great? Why do they have to come to Europe in decadence? And as a result, I've been deeply alienated with Catholicism. I have the logo. I don't have the logo in the podcast logo, right? The cross. I don't know where to go. I've been increasingly looking more and more towards orthodoxy. Now, I've always had this thing in my mind where the original churches, when you had the Holy Catholic and Apostolic United Church, right, the schism then happened between Roman Catholicism, with the Bishop of Rome then saying he was going to be the Pope, and the bishop to go over all the bishops, basically, and the Orthodox bishops, which have, remained pretty much the same as it always was, right? I mean, there's not many Orthodox churches around in my local area, for sure. I think the nearest one is about an hour away. But I've always thought that they were, if anybody's going to have the claim to having the fullness of the faith and the actual truth behind it, it's going to be one of those two. It's going to be one of those two, because they're the ones that can trace their origins back to the actual time when the church was founded. Not any of the Protestant denominations. Not any of the Protestant denominations coming out of the Reformation. So that's why I think that, the strongest cases are for those two, and why I would instantly why I was gravitating towards those two, but I'm gravitating much more towards orthodoxy now. I suppose we'll see where it goes from here. But this is definitely not only unpopular from a political standpoint, but deeply, deeply hypocritical. Especially you see that the Pope is now elevating pro-LGBT Catholics to positions of authority. He allowed people into St. Peter's Basilica, I believe it was, holding rainbow crosses and a backpack saying "fuck the rules" under this pro-sodomy, homosexuality kind of stuff, right? Which at least you could make the argument that that's not wrong if we live in a morally relative universe and all of that. That's not the point. The point is it not church teaching, as far as I understand. And the other thing is, I'm not speaking here as a church authority. I'm seeing this from what other people who are church authorities are saying, that are equally, if not more, disassociated or dispossessed, or whatever the right term is, right, than I am, right? I'm trying to find the correct path, and certainly the Pope is not making it an easy one. But again, I think the problems with that go back far further than him anyway. If you enjoyed that clip, then make sure to go on over to the Voice of the Valleys X page at VOT_Valleys on X. We're also on Instagram at Voice of the Valleys. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Godspeed.